in technology and so many things going on in the society and around the world, privacy of information is becoming something that is very critical. It's something that if you are not careful, you might end up landing in problems, or you might end up landing in problems because you might misuse someone's information, or someone might end up misusing your information and putting you in trouble. Okay. We recently heard of the penalty notice issued by the ODPC. ODPC is the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. Penalty notices given to data controllers in case there is failure to comply with provisions of the Act on Processing Personal Data. And the ODPC actually imposed fines, and these fines were ranging from 1.8 million to around 4.5 million to businesses. And even there was a school, I think, that was involved in an issue to do with data privacy. So it's good for us to know what is actually going on. The Act and Data Protection Procedure Regulations for 2021 will actually enable ODPC to investigate complaints by data subjects and make determination on how to proceed with such investigations. So there are so many guidelines that are actually in place, and so many people don't know about the data privacy issues and just general cybersecurity awareness and data privacy awareness. So we are going to use this session to revisit and discuss. I do understand it's just not Professor who will be presenting. I want to welcome everyone in the audience who has a grasp or two regarding this topic on social media security and personal data privacy best practices to share and add on to the discussion that we are going to have today. So feel free. If you're not in a position to speak, you can just use the chat section to comment. And if you're in a position to speak, you can raise your hand and then the host will pick on you and then you will share your additions to the discussions that we are going to have today. So allow me to quickly, if possible, introduce our speaker for today. And after that, I think we will be good to go. So let me share my screen very fast as people still log in. So we are privileged to have Abdul Shakur, who is a seasoned IT professional in areas of system admin, consultancy, training, and cybersecurity. His area of specialty includes system and infrastructure management, web apps, security, information security management, business process engineering, end user trainings, and currently he's working as a senior ICT officer and pursuing a master's degree in information technology. He's passionate about building and recommending solutions, creating end user awareness, training, and facilitation to a wide range of clientele. So with this kind of profile, I want to urge us to feel free, ask questions, and make the discussion fruitful. I do understand we have at most 1 hour, since most of us are joining from different areas, others are in the office, at work. You've just sacrificed this 1 hour to join us. Maybe you're having lunch somewhere. Others maybe are on the road. Maybe someone has joined with the phone, is traveling in a car. So we really appreciate your quest to learn and increase or expand your professional horizons and to just keep in touch with what is going on. So also I want to urge us to suggest better topics, even as we continue to revamp our topic lineup for the webinars this year. Remember, these webinars are free CPD webinars, and we are always offering at least a one hour credit CPD for everyone who joins. We have been having an issue with certification, but very soon we will have good news once we are able to restore our certification platform. Professor, I don't know if you are able to hear me. Maybe you can take over now as the audience also prepares to listen to you. And the audience, if you have any expectations, feel free to text them on the chat section. What you expect to learn, as our professor prepares to start the session. So karibu sana Arina, if you can hear me.
I can hear you very well and clearly. I said you can hear me. I hope you can hear me right now. Hello?
I can hear you loud and clear, at least from my end.
We can hear you, sir.
Thank you very much. I am greatly honored to grace this audience. One thing that I usually tell my audience, the person lecturing and the people being lectured to are capable of learning from each other. And let's look at this topic from not just gaining CPE credits, but also learning to practice what comes with each and every thing that we are going to discuss. The topic in itself is something that is, I would say it's a life experience. And I believe as we continue going through the topic, I will share some of the challenges that I have also experienced, because being a practitioner of cybersecurity doesn't make you bulletproof. As Simon has candidly introduced me, I wish to make some corrections. I'm not yet a professor, but I'm working towards my doctorate. I completed my master's degree last year in July, and I'm looking forward to furthering my education in the area of cybersecurity, especially in the area of vulnerability assessment mechanisms. So for today's lecture, we're going to look at the issue of social media security and personal data privacy. Today, in our day-to-day activities, we find that we are not just as we would say 40 or 60 years ago. We are looking at things quite differently, because a majority of our information is stored or is publicly accessible through either you have joined a social media platform, or you have joined a business like a professional network like LinkedIn. It is through these platforms that a majority of our information is outside there. For those of us who want to share so many things about ourselves, let's say you have gone out with your friends, you're having a good time, or you are indulging a friend or a loved one or your own family in an event, and you want to keep memories. So most of us would want to maybe share a photo, maybe tag a friend, just to mention but a few. But there is a danger to what we are doing, because we are exposing ourselves or the people we love to the public, something that you might consider as being personal, somebody else might consider as being private, because someone would appear in a photograph that they did not intend to appear. Or your data, we've had these things that are going around whereby we have the issues of data leakages, we've had the issues of data breaches, just to mention but a few. And some of these major social media platforms have been victims of these cyber threats. I would give you an example. There was a time whereby LinkedIn's data close to, I think it was 30 to 40 million users was available in the dark web. So you can imagine if such personal data is fully accessible by somebody, or somebody who is not supposed to see it, what are the dangers that you're most likely to encounter? So with that, we also need to understand, we need to appreciate that there are certain key elements about you that you do not need to give out so much. I believe it is not necessarily for you to give out your date of birth. It is not necessary for you to give out your affiliations. It is not necessary for you to give out the name of your spouses. And just to mention, those are the key things that we find are very, very key. For those who are family members, I'm looking at it in a different way. For me, as a cybersecurity expert, if I wanted to get information about, let's say, Robin Mugo, I'd basically want to try, I would do something called an open source intelligence, okay? What we call OSINT. I would want to do some reconnaissance about Robin. And the first thing I'll do, the best place for me to getting such information, and you guess it, is Google. Google will give out all the information about you. The links that you have, which social media accounts you have, just to mention but a few. Then, for example, I want to make it a bit more interesting. I would want to see who does Robin follow, or who does somebody who is closer to Robin. And let's say I go to Facebook, I'm capable of getting such information. I'd even find that he celebrated Valentine's maybe with a loved one, and I can go deeper. Maybe he has kids. I can know where the kids are. Maybe he has made a milestone. He has a house, and maybe he has taken a photo of it. Even through a photo, I can get your geographic locations as to where you are. So they are very dangerous things that we do unconsciously, but very consciously, somebody is getting information about you. So without far much ado, I would want us to take a journey into this very important course. We need to emphasize on the importance of social media security. And as we have said, social media platforms serve as a vast repository of personal data. As I've just given you a simple example. For example, I go to Facebook, or I can use Facebook because to me it is the most used and most sought after application or platform. Most of us want to put so many things about what we did. I woke up, I work here, I do this, I do this. But to somebody, you are actually, I can build a profile about you without necessarily even meeting you. And after that, I can even walk a step further. After I know where you work, I can pretend to be a very long lost friend. We went to school, the same school, went to the same campus. I knew you, you were in these clubs, A, B, C, D, E, F, Y, Z. I can build a profile based on that. And I can use it to target you in various ways, either psychologically, emotionally, and even financially. So when somebody is targeting you, they have done so much research about you, and they are able to confidently narrow you down to at least 90% of you. You'd have your doubts that, oh, I don't know you, I've never met you, but through that, if I'm very keen, I know 20 years is a very long time for you to remember anything. But using that philosophy, I can be able to gain traction on you. So a majority of the things that we lose as a result of these breaches leads to something called identity theft. I can clone your account and look, it is so real in such a way that I can use it to scam other people. We've seen of emails, very funny emails that are, if you have not done your due diligence, or you have not made any necessary steps to make a follow-up, you'd find that somebody says, I am so and so, and I am basically stuck in maybe Berlin. I went for a conference and people stole my my things and this. I'm asking for assistance to come back home. We have seen all those things, but this person has done due diligence and known this person's entire portfolio, and they are able to actually not just clone, actually relate to them to the finer details. So we see somebody can actually mimic an innocent or a very genuine account. For those of us who are in the financial spheres, you find that we have seen very funny emails that are emanating from would-be banks. But these would-be banks, if you follow and you look at the source of that bank, let's say it's a bank XYZ, but if you look at it, it does not have a culture of sending its customers emails telling them to maybe reset their password. They have a very formal way of doing it, which involves certain security parameters, and the bank does not even call you. But you see, somebody says, I'm from bank XYZ. I see your account is I see your account is like replicated or some funny things. If you're not keen, you're most likely to fall into that trap. The other thing is that reputational damage. We have seen so many I want to call them influencers, superstars, celebrities who have been blackmailed or have been even emotionally distorted through some of these challenges. You find somebody is able to steal or can even hijack your social media accounts, and they decide to put adult content on it, or very I would call them very not so pleasant things on your pages. And it has a reputational damage because people who are close to you are most likely to look at you and say, okay, my friend, we are seeing you are trending because in relation to this. When you try to access your account, to find that you are locked out. By the time that you manage to secure the account, the damage is way above. So with this, we try to make the necessary amendments by protecting social media accounts, by looking at how to maintain digital identity and privacy. So what are the I'll just narrow down to some of the common threats to social media security. First of all, I gave an example of how somebody might get information out of you. It is what we call a phishing attack, because what this person basically does, sends you an email, tells you to reset your password, but if you're not very keen, it goes to another account or to another service, which enables this person to actually gain or get hold of your credentials. The other one is account hijacking. This is very similar and very popular, and it's something that is actually on the rise, because what somebody does is basically tries a multiple number of possible passwords that are maybe related or are closer to you or closer to home, and they can be able to guess. Probably some of us would want to name to put our passwords as the names of our spouses, our children, or where I work, or where I first met my spouse, just to mention a few. For me, as a cybersecurity expert, there are tools that I can be able to mine such information and get it. So when you look at it from any angle, you find that it is very key that you try as much as possible to make your accounts strong in the sense that you practice security to the latter. Because if I have one password for everything, in the event that one of those passwords is compromised or one of those sites is compromised, I can be able to access everything in relation to that password. We also told that if you have very many accounts from different social media accounts, try as much as possible to have different email accounts and different passwords for each of them. These limits that threat surface. We see there's also the issue of malware. Malware are basically viruses, worms, trojans, just to mention but a few. These have been designed in such a way they can be able to compromise your device. Right now, we have smartphones. And with this era is that this all the things that you are restricted to doing on a laptop or on a PC are capable of running on a tablet or on your smartphone. Basically, a mischievous person might engineer a malware or a virus that is capable of stealing this information from you. It can steal your passwords, it can steal all your credentials, which can range from things like your social security number, that this is applicable in the United States of America, your passwords, your login, your account numbers, just to mention but a few. And what Simon has actually give us an intro to is the issue of data security or data protection. As a result, if we are very careless and we do not put the necessary measures that ensure that our data is safe at all stages, we are most likely to experience data breaches. We have heard of all this happening across the board, whereby we've seen that there's a company that I tend to relate with when it comes to the issue of data breaches, and it's popularly in America, it is called T-Mobile. You will hear on a regular basis that they have been victims, or they have been found themselves in a scenario whereby their data has been breached. We can remember before Corona, we had something called the SolarWinds incident, where people were able to breach some of the federal government key accounts in America. These are just some of the examples that are most likely to happen. There's also the issue of the social media accounts. Some of them, Facebook has been on the forefront on social media data breaches, where you find that some of your data has been leaked somewhere and it is being used in the most inappropriate way. So what are the strategies for enhancing social media security? What I have narrowed down to is that I have narrowed down to some of the most useful, most applicable, and things that you can use to ensure that you are not a victim of this vice. The first thing and the first order of business is strong passwords. We need to use unique, complex passwords for each of our social media accounts, whereby you are saying, as we can revisit, we are saying that if I have an account in, let's say, Snapchat, I have another one in Instagram, I have another one in maybe Facebook, TikTok, for the TikTokers, just to mention but a few. I should try my best to have unique passwords for each and every one of them. The problem with us is that we do not want to be bothered by remembering the different passwords that we are using across board. So we have this notion that one password serves all. So this is a danger, because in the event that somebody is able to compromise one, it also gives them a foothold or an advantage over you, because they can be able to change even the passwords that you have in other social media accounts. So you also need to try as much as possible, not just to have very simple passwords. What we have as a rule of thumb is that we used to say it should be at least 8 characters long. But what characters are these? You need to also factor in some of these things. These characters should be a mixture of what we call alphanumeric characters. By alphanumeric, we are looking at the alphabet and the numeric aspect of it. But I also want to encourage you not just to use the alphanumeric, but also incorporate special characters. By special characters, what we are saying, these are the @ the hash, the exclamation mark, the commas, the full stop, just to mention but a few. You should incorporate them in your passwords. And you should make them at least, if it's so much a fast, at least 8. But the most recommended, it should be around 10 or more. Because why are we saying 10 or more? It is very difficult if you have a combination of all these things for you to break such a password. Why am I saying this? If I have a mixture of uppercase and lowercase numbers plus let's say the special characters, it gives me a longer period or a longer time for me to crack that password. But if you put it in what we call the directory or the dictionary passwords, it is easy for somebody to guess them and infiltrate your accounts. The other thing that we are also encouraging users or social media users is what we call two-factor or multi-factor authentication. What we mean here is adding extra layers of security by requiring a secondary or even a tertiary form of verification. You have seen when it comes to when you, let's say you are logging into a given website, or you are logging into, let's say, a financial website, they would send you another code to authenticate it's actually you. This level of security can be put in your email or even your mobile phone. Once it's sent to you, if you do not possess that code, you're not able to access. Even if you are able, you have the right password. For example, if you go to the banking applications, they'll usually send you a code if you've sent the right password. So once you enable this multi-factor authentication, it is easy for you to secure your accounts. The other thing is something called privacy settings. Regularly review and adjust your privacy settings to control who can access your information. You can, I think, if you are using WhatsApp, you can be able to see if you go to your settings and you say privacy, you can even put it in such a way that the last seen cannot be viewed. You can also say which people do you want to view your profile photo. You can also dictate who can see the statuses that you are posting. The other thing, and we also emphasize on this, is that you should avoid suspicious links. I can tell you for a fact, I have been a victim of this. And for one or two reasons, I was capable of running away with it on good time. Because in the heat of the moment, and you have so many things going concurrently, it is very likely that you can click on some of these suspicious links and somebody can be able to hijack or steal or take over your account. For example, as I was saying, you can look at it, it might be very silly, but somebody can send you, let's say, an invite on your social media, and somebody wants to, let's say, add you as a friend, but you have to take a survey if you really know this person, XYZ. It is through that I can actually put in a link that can enable me to steal your data. So we need to be very, 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 very careful. And look at who is sending you that link. Is it somebody that you know? Is it somebody that you are familiar with? So you need to be at least exercise some level of caution. By that, we're also looking at from the aspect of those of us who are doing internet banking. Some of these people are capable of sending you random links that want you to maybe change your password, share certain information. Remember, this person is doing information gathering. You should just make it might pain you, but you can do some due diligence. You can call. There's usually a helpline or what we call a customer care line and ask them, have you been sending this and this? They'll tell you most definitely no. And for the social media, what happens is that they never send you this information that they want to update their records, just to mention but a few. We are using the other aspect that we need to also look at and take very keen interest is that some of us, after we have downloaded the application, we are not keen to maybe update the application that we are using. Why are these updates very important? These updates are actually as a result of the company wanting to know, not just to know, the company wanting to ensure that the end user is protected at every given time. What I have actually seen in many cases, people did not, of the people who did not update their applications, is that there are certain holes or certain vulnerabilities of that version that can be exploited by would-be hackers, and they can be able to take over your information. So it is very important that you actually continue to update your applications on a regular basis. This does not just end at the level of your applications. Your devices need to have the latest security patches, which limits your attack threat surface. Then what we're doing right now is also something that can assist in the area of promoting awareness. I usually tell my clients when I visit them or when I'm holding lectures or when I'm conducting end user training, you can invest so much on security, but if that person does not know its importance, you are most likely to fall victim over and over again. We have heard of scenarios whereby somebody has invested millions and millions and millions of dollars in coming up with the state-of-the-art applications, security measures, XYZ, just to mention but a few. But a user just decides to click on a link and all hell breaks loose. So, personal data privacy on when it comes to your social media, we usually say that as a person, you are the controller of your data. And before somebody can actually use it, they need your consent. But some of us are easily swayed and we sign away our consent. I'd give you an example. When you're subscribing to, let's say, a website, you usually have the terms and services and licenses. How many of us take time to actually read those terms and conditions? Very few of us, but we are very quick to say agreed. Because if you do not agree to these terms, you'll not be able to use the service, the application, or the service or the application, or we are so fast in making agreeing that we do not read the finer print. As they say, the devil is always in the details. Then when you go to, let's say, to seek redress in a court of law, somebody will just circle a small clause and tell you, did you read this clause? And then the case is thrown out of the courts, and you end up maybe being a victim of so many challenges. Then we have something what we call data minimization. I usually say the less data that you share about yourself, the better for you. If you were to look at it from a very very different perspective, and you try to understand why somebody would emphasize on data minimization. In the beginning, we said some of us share so much information which should be private to the public. This is my spouse, these are my kids, they go to Brightburn, they go to Laser Hill, they go to Jeffries. Once I know that, and I know the pictures of your kids, the next thing I know, I have profiled you and I'm able to know, okay, this person has kids at this place. The wife works at, let's say, NBK. Him himself works at, let's say, Jamii Bank or Ushurika Bank. He has been there for 5 years. He went to school at, let's say, University X. He's currently pursuing his master's at University X. He is currently in charge of X. You give too much information about yourself, okay? You are actually weaponizing somebody to attack you. So you should minimize the amount of data you are sharing online. So the other thing that these social media applications need to do are actually practicing at the moment is they collect and retain only the necessary data to minimize privacy risks. Why are they doing this? They now narrow down to the key information, not the information that you think it will be important to them. They just keep to the basics to avoid you getting hurt along the way. Then you also need to look at the issue of transparency. Most of these social media accounts, they will tell you there's a most likelihood that third-party affiliates might access your data. So when it comes to consent, you really need to actually dig deep and ask yourself, do I want my information outside there to a company that I cannot have any legal foothold on? So it is a question that you need to ask yourself long and hard. If you can do without social media, the better. Then we also have the issue of user control. We have actually echoed the issue of privacy settings and control the visibility of your information. I like what Meta is doing when it comes to WhatsApp. It gives you control as to who can see what and when. If you're not in my list, you're not able to see the things that I'm posting. There's the issue of accountability. We should try our best, and I don't know how the Office of the Data Privacy Commissioner can put measures to put some of these, they're called big tech, to task when it comes to user data and issues of privacy in regards to the Kenyan social media users. But now, there comes another challenge. Do these companies have data centers that hold Kenyan information in Kenya? That is the question that we need to ask ourselves. Or do we have to put all our data in a foreign data center, in a foreign country's data center? Those are questions that when we get time and we get to hold the people who are in the Office of the Data Protection, they can give us much more information. We see that we have talked about data protection, and we have a watchdog in Kenya, which is the ODPC, who is mandated to protecting Kenyans' information at all costs. There we have the issue of the data controllers and the data subjects. The data subject is you as a person, and the information that you hold every time refers to you as a data subject. We have seen that there are countries that have taken data protection regulations to a given high, whereby in the Eurozone, we have what we have there, we call the General Data Protection Regulation, whereby we have seen companies like Microsoft, companies like Google have been fined and penalized billions of dollars when it comes to issues related to data privacy. In California, we have what we call the California Consumer Privacy Act, and it's very detailed. It tells companies who are working in the federal government, not in the California region, in the California state, that there are certain aspects of users that cannot be shared, and in the event they are lost or compromised, you have to report immediately so that necessary measures can be taken to alleviate or to evade or to take the necessary actions to ensure that these people are not in any way harmed. For those of us who are working in the healthcare industry, we have something called HIPAA, which is in the healthcare industry. And because in America, different states have different insurance companies. And somebody might be moving from one state to another and he falls sick. And these people need to refer to other medical historical information about you. So if I'm in, let's say, Arizona, and I've gone all the way to New York, I need information about me needs to be shared. It should be limited in such a way that it only covers the necessary information about me. Then I'll just put into place these three case studies. We have the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal. I believe the American elections were somehow a victim of this. I also believe the Kenyan elections, I cannot ascertain per se, were also at a given point, we had that claim that they were also victims of these manipulations, whereby Cambridge Analytica were able to actually sway certain users using something called sentiment analysis. This is just one of the examples. They have been very rampant, and I think even in America, there was a Congress had to call them. They had to summon to Congress to explain themselves. I think even the British government also fined them, and also they were summoned to the parliament to explain their activities. This is just one or very many aspects. And such individuals are very rampant in areas whereby the laws are very lax, because they know there's no way you can prosecute them on information that they can use based on third-party agreements. We have seen so many Twitter account hacks in the past, which were necessitated that people need to use strong passwords and multi-factor authentication. There's also the issue about the TikTok, that it is collecting data from people to learn about them, to learn about their likes. And I believe this is also very rampant in Instagram. You'd find that on Instagram, if you have a liking to viewing certain things, let's say shoes or attire, they tend to bring you so much information related to shoes and attire. And if for those of us who are in the years preceding when some of these things were happening, e-commerce platforms were capable of actually, let's say, customizing information that can be sent to you through your email on various things that you browse, let's say on platform A or platform B. And I remember there was a person who was making complaints that why are you sending me inappropriate things to my inbox? What these people said, it is not us sending you, but it is our system which has studied your I would call it window shopping habits, and we are sending you information or data based on what you have been searching. So we have seen that in areas that where TikTok has been called to question, they can, let's say, send people various certain regions have various algorithms that will give them either things that are beneficial or those which are not of any benefit to them or the people who are using their platforms. We have seen issues that, in another example, we have seen issues of data breaches, where I gave you an example of T-Mobile in America. This T-Mobile has been if you do your due diligence, it has reported numerous times that it has been a victim of data breaches. And what they have stolen is customer information, which might range from your calling rates, which is also related to the phone numbers that you are dialing, the subscription that you are using, and other services that are related to T-Mobile. We can also give another example of Toyota. Toyota and Mitsubishi have been victims of data breaches. These are just examples of how lax security can affect your presence. Because, for example, where you work, somebody, let's say in a bank, somebody is able to actually hack that bank, steal customer information, which is privileged. You can say maybe you steal from bank XYZ, and for one reason, you are not able to, this person is able to actually view your financial statements. These financial statements are, we call them private. And in fact, they should be private. You can see maybe Arena is in arrears or he has defaulted on his banking, on his loans or his financial obligations, which can actually have negative repercussions on somebody. there are so many examples that we can use. And when we look at it, we should not just sit pretty and think that it is a responsibility of the company or it is a responsibility of somebody else. As I remember the late, I think it's the late, either Nkaiseri or Mishuki, he said, security starts with you. So if we are not practicing these things that we actually take time to lecture or take time to share through webinars, then we will continue to be victims of account hijacking, account takeovers, and will be misrepresented outside there, and our data will be lost, and we will find ourselves in very questionable situations. And where your reputation really matters, it would be very unfair that maybe people hold you in high esteem would find I don't want to call them disgusting, but questionable content circulating on your social media account. With that, we can say that social media security and personal data are critical considerations in today's digital landscape. You have no way of running away from this. In one way or the other, you are either in one or two or three social media platforms. So you need to find yourself and ask those core questions. How much can I share? What is the minimum that I can share? It is not necessary that you share everything about what is happening in your life. I have gotten a promotion, I have done this, I have moved this job to this. It is good to share because people want to see you are making progression. But in the event somebody gets hold of your data, what is the harm that is most likely to be done to you? And then also we need to implement robust security measures and respecting user privacy rights, both for the individuals as a person and social media platforms, in such a way that we can mitigate risks and foster safer online environments. As I say, it is two-way. Here, there's a saying that mkono moja haiwezi piga kofi, as in it cannot, one palm cannot make a clap. It is something that should be a two-way traffic. Us as users, we need to do our best, to the best of our ability, to ensure that we practice security on our end. And the providers or the companies running this platform should also put in place mechanisms that would ensure that our data is safe at all means. And that when they have other third-party engagements or agreements, that I as a data subject, I need to be consulted. They need to seek my consent at any given point. But you see, in those terms and agreements, they will tell you that there's a likelihood that your data will be shared with third-party affiliates for the purposes of doing maybe marketing, of doing research, and other businesses known to them. So my closing remarks will be, as much as we want to share so many things about ourselves, we should also try our best to minimize some of the things that we are putting out in the public domain. And even if we were to go to the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, they will ask you, have you tried your best to do what is called data minimization and data anonymization, okay? Whereby you make your data anonymous in such a way that it cannot be pinpointed to somebody. Have you done that? If in the event that this data is being used, for those of us who are doing our masters or are going to do our PhDs, we are told that when you are collecting data, that data should be so general that it cannot be pinpointed to a certain individual. That is when you do your ethical review, they insist that when you're conducting your data collection, that data cannot be pinpointed to somebody. In the event that you're in the field and you collect it, and let's say for one reason, when that data happens to be on your computer and somebody can be able to access it, that person who is the secondary person or the tertiary person who is accessing it cannot go on the field and pinpoint that, oh, this data belongs to so and so. Let's say it is related to Arena, it is related to Simon, it is related to Nyokabi, it is related to, just to mention, Nyambura, etc. It should be so vague that even if I was to leave it on let's say, a public forum, it cannot zero in on somebody. Those are the considerations that we need to put in place every time we are accessing information or using information or sharing information about ourselves. With that, I want to close by saying social media is a important tool. You can do with it or you can do without it. But you should try your best to look at what are the benefits and what are the harms that can come out of all these engagements. With that, I wish to return the mic or the authority back to my moderator, who is Simon. But before that, I see there are some questions which have been put in by, there's an anonymous attendee, whereby they are saying they are using WPS Office. First of all, I would want to discourage some of these applications that we use. That some of them are meant to collect a lot of information as regarding to you as a person. Is this vendor somebody that you trust? That in the event that you have any engagement with them, are they going to use your data for other needs that are not the ones that you have subscribed to? I would advise you to get a custom or a proper office suite application. You might look at it as being expensive, but Microsoft Office ensures that you are not privy to some of the things that you are encountering at the moment. For Robin, I would tell you when updating some common applications, you find a notification informing you to reinstall the app. I would encourage you to, there are some that would tell you that it will restart itself without you reinstalling, and at the most current version is the one that is going to be taking, that will take effect. You know what applications have is what you have a version control number. If you take a keen look at the about section of your application, and you will notice that there's the version number. Every time there's an update, the version number changes, and most of them will just restart. Some, I think the older versions, what we call the legacy systems, are the ones that will tell you to reinstall the application. And also, some of them would ask you to do that based on the operating system on your device. I'll tell you, Robin, the other thing about that, the T and C's being that long and being in very, very small fonts, they are trying to discourage you in getting a lot of the information that it would be a pain spot for them. But I'm trying to see how well you can run away, because you have to agree to those terms and conditions, or else they'll not allow you to use their applications. Okay. I would actually, it is painful, but sometimes I think I would want my lawyer there so that I know what I'm getting myself into. Because when you are looking at some of these plans, you will find that they are geared more to favor the financial institution over you. Okay? So it is good to make those if it's something that they can agree that you can go with the document and source legal interpretation, it might be good. Then Mugo, you've also said that when applying for jobs, how do you go about choosing the right emails and sites to share your documents? What I do basically, in my case, if I want to apply for a job, first of all, I look at two things. If the account sending is not a company registered domain, what do I mean by a company registered domain? For you to attend this webinar, an email was sent from Capabit. Imagine if somebody sent it from, let's say, Yahoo, Hotmail, or I know some of you might not have used it. It used to be called what is its name? Alta Vista, or just to mention but a few. How well will you trust it? You didn't. If I find that the job is well documented, they show everything, and they give me an email that is related to the company, and if I go to the company's website and I see the job is there, then it gives me the confidence of making my application. Or how I go about it is, some of these companies have developed what is called a job application portal. It is also a safer way of them to actually collect your data. The other thing that I was told by a data practitioner, I think if you should make due diligence and make up follow-up with the respective places, they are supposed to keep your data for a certain period of time. When it comes to what kind of information will be regarded secure as to affiliations with networking for education, as an affiliate, you need to be attached to maybe an education center or a research center. I believe if you are a researcher, you are not just a researcher out of the blue. You need to be pegged to maybe a think tank, or you should be pegged to an educational institution, a higher educational institution, or you should be part of a research group or a CBO. I think they are called community-based organization. If you are pegged to this, it gives you some credibility, because if Arena as a person is just Dr. Arena, but he is well versed in the areas of cybersecurity, XYZ, but his interests, he has never supervised anyone, he is not working with anyone. You see, it gives a lot of questions to that. I hope I have answered the questions in the Q&A. And for Robin, sorry, we are seeing so much things right now. The culture of AI is doing a lot of things. And it is not one person sitting there controlling what goes where, what does this. There are algorithms that have been put in place, okay? And these algorithms can be very tricky because they have been trained to behave in a certain manner. And that's why I have been preaching on the issue of data minimization and anonymization, because in the event your data lands in the wrong hands, we said we cannot be able to pinpoint it to someone, okay? Then if you have confidential information, for God's sake, I pray that you use stronger passwords and multi-factor authentication. And this will go a very long way, because as a person, you will most likely have some level of confidence that my data is safe. For Evelyn, data minimization, what it means, you do not give too much information about yourself, okay? You just put in the necessary things. But that is also a challenge when it comes to social media, because they would want to get as much information out of you. They'd want to get to confirm that you are actually over 18 or over 16 by wanting to know the year you're born, the month, and the date. They'll want to get your location because they want to know where you are from. You might be saying you are from Kenya, but for other reasons, you are from Iran, or you are from China. So they want to zero in on where your locations are. I believe some of the platforms that what they are doing after the enactment of these data protection laws is that they are trying as much as possible to minimize the amount of information that they are getting out of their users. But the other thing is that you have the choice. If you can actually do away with them. If you can't, you can actually try your best to minimize as much information that you are trying to share with certain individuals. In that light, I want to give you something that will, if you get time, it is a course, and I believe it is under Strathmore. And it might be something that you might find useful. With the permission of Simon, if it's okay, I would want to share this with with our delegates, which will enable them learn something about data protection, which also covers the issue of privacy. So if you look at the chart, it is a course, and I believe they're still taking some would-be people who want to enroll. With that, I welcome you guys to the delegates, if they have questions, comments, complaints, contributions, the floor is yours. Otherwise, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to hearing your contributions. Thank you. The floor is all yours now.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
So wanted to ask if anyone has a question so that we can raise and answer before our speaker leaves, before we end the session. So anyone with a question, you can chat, you can raise your hand so that we
I can
allow you.
see Mark. I see Mark. Mark Anyanga has a question. He has raised his hand.
Hello, can you hear
Mark,
me?
feel free. I can hear you quite well.
Okay, now
I can hear you.
you are sharing a chat. I can't be able to see it.
Okay.
There's a chat that you're sharing about the.
That one? That is the one.
No. This is the PowerPoint, but at the end of the discussion, you were saying there's a chat that you wanted to share about the courses that is being offered at Strathmore. About
if you look at your web chat,
yes.
If you look at your, Eugene has already shared with you. It is something that I think he has sent it the second time. It is something that gives you knowledge, and it also because we also want to know what the Data Protection Act is all about. Okay, we have seen people who have been penalized left, right, and center due to what I call carelessness. Because if today, Mark, I take a picture of you and I put it on a poster without your consent as company XYZ, okay? And in the event that after this webinar, I'll be asking you guys to give me consent to share that I did this on my social media, okay? And it will show your names, okay? So if I do that without your consent, my God, I'll be due for fines or punishment, okay? So we have to understand all these things from a point of knowledge, and knowledge comes from us learning. The course that I've shared, and I believe even if when time comes by, I'll be looking into having a training on this, purely on this, as a data protection course for maybe for Kappa bill, okay? But now I want to look purely into the Data Protection Act of 2019. Is that okay?
Okay, just another question.
Go ahead.
What if maybe I have a company and these people are working with are working for me, and I want to post that this is in charge of this one, this is in charge of this one, and I take their photos. Do I have to have their consent for me to post their photos on my website?
You have to get their consent.
Okay.
You have no way about it. You have no way about it.
Okay.
Because remember, as much as this person is you remember in Eldoret, I think it's in Eldoret, there was a school that was penalized because a parent happened to see their child on a poster. And I wish to remind you people, remind us delegates, is that we spend less than 30% of our time with our kids. Our kids spend more than 70% in school. Is it true? Am I saying the truth?
Yeah,
So
that's true.
these
That's
people
true.
are more, these are more like their guardians, and they know them more in some scary scenarios. They know more them better than us. So if I'm like a guardian to you, I like have some authority over you. Why are you penalizing me for sharing something that is related to enhancing your trade? From this perspective, these guys were advertising, so they were monetizing that particular that they were using that person, that particular child, to monetize their institution. So when you put a picture of that child there, it becomes very challenging. You have to seek consent of this guy. At the company level, it's a tricky affair. It's a very tricky affair. But for me, if it were me, I would look at it from that perspective. You have, because when my lecturers, my supervisors they wanted to do a profile on me, or on us as a class. They had to send us some documents for us to sign to ensure that we consent for them to put our pictures, our what do you call it, and our sentiments on their website. That is the challenge. Technology has brought about that on us. So, Mark, it's a challenge, but what do we do? Eugene, if there's another question.
I cannot see any question. I want to ask if there is any question. Please ensure you ask questions that you have. Don't leave out of this platform with a question. We are here. So anyone with a question, we encourage you to answer a question. You can either raise your hand, we will see it from our end, or even type on the chat box. We also accept comments and those who have comments. But there's a question here. I don't know if you answered it. By Evelina Risi.
Okay. I managed to answer her. She was asking about data minimization in the relation to social media. What I told her is that if it is possible, that there are certain things that if it is within your purview to decide what to share or what not to share. If it's necessary that you have to share, of which it's not right, you can decide not to give the right information. Okay, you might opt not to give the right information. So for me, I look at it from that perspective. Okay.
All right. Any question?
Feel free, raise your hand. Let's talk about these things, because at the end of the day, what most of us have, I believe there are some of us who, sorry for this, I do not have a good name for it. They like to go for kadundas, if it's that is the name that they call it, if they still call it that. We saw that there were two raveling points that people's photos were captured, and the ODPC actually find those places. You find that now things are a bit different. The consent, your consent when you actually step up to those joints, they tell you that you entering into their respective areas means that you have actually consented for them to record you, for them to take photos of you without your knowledge or without your consent. So that brings us to another challenge that it is a gray area. How people are going to, how the act is going to interpret that is also something worth taking some time to discuss. So as I part, I wish to leave you with some very challenging times. We happen to pass through places, you find people taking selfies, and you happen to land in that selfie. What would be your reaction? That is my quote for today. Otherwise, if there are no questions, I wish to thank you for your time, and I wish to thank you for your audience, and have a grateful afternoon and a wonderful lunchtime. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jamal Arena. So we've come to the end of today's session. We will encourage you to continue visiting our website. We have some very, very current programs, and we also have developed new free webinar series that will continue from next month. So to be part of this community, we urge you to go and check it so that we may continue to tackle these issues that affect us on our daily professional career. So I would like to end the session at this point. In case there's no any other question, we would like to end the session at this point. But we encourage you to go and visit our website, capable.com, and you will be able to find a lot. So please share with us your email. Milka, who is requesting for the slide, please share with us your email so that I will be able to send it just after here. We've finished here. Please leave your email. All right. Okay.
Eugene, just check.
Yes.
Eugene, I'm sending you the slide right now.
All right.
Right now, let me try and locate it on my machine, because I want the delegates to get everything that we actually preached, and not to be seen absent it, and not to be seen to be singing from another tune. I've sent it.
You said?
Yeah, I've sent it.
All right. It's all right. Let me share with them the slides. Let me share with them the slides right away. Okay, thank you for attending today's session. We wish you have a nice afternoon. Goodbye.
Before they go, I wanted their consent for me to share this on my social media before I find myself in hot soup. If not, it's okay. I will just put in those who, if you feel that you don't want to be on that page, or on my or happen to see something on LinkedIn, please just let me know. Otherwise, guys, thanks for your time. Thanks for your attendance. It really means a lot to us, and we will continue enlightening, and we are grateful.